am not going to lie. The RadRover 5 is one mean looking bike. It's awesome. It's got big, giant, fat tires. But you want to know what? This is how I'm typically riding my RadRover 5 with my little dude on his Your Rider up front. Is the RadRover 5 right for you? And is it worthy of being America's #1 selling fat tire e-bike? We'll watch our honest review to find out. Okay, as I mentioned, the RadRover 5 from Rad Power Bikes is America's #1 selling fat tire e-bike. I mean, from the trails to the errands, it can take it all on. And that's what the big fat tires are for. But wait a second, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Let's back up a little bit. This is an odd question, I know, but what is an e-bike? Aren't they all the same? Well, I had no idea what kind of rabbit hole I was getting into here. There's a lot more to e-bikes and regular bikes, frankly, than I had any idea about. So an e-bike is just a bike that has a motor, typically in the rear tires. There's other types, but I'm not going to go there for now. That's way too complicated. But there's not just even one type of e-bike. It turns out there's actually 3 classes of e-bikes. I'll put a link to an article we wrote about it here, but there's really 3 ways an e-bike can be powered, and that determines what class it is. There's one, which is pedal only, the old school style of pedaling. Number 2, there's pedal assist, which means when you're pedaling, you get the pedal power plus some motor power. And 3, there is throttle only, which is awesome. It's kind of like riding a moped without the loud noises. There's actually 3 different classes of e-bikes. Class 1 is only pedal assist, no throttle. It goes up to 20 miles per hour. Class 2, which is what the RadRover 5 and all Rad Power Bikes are, have pedal assist and throttle up to 20 miles an hour. And there's Class 3, which has pedal assist up to 28 miles an hour. Now, gravity isn't going to stop you from going any faster than that. My mom has a Class 1 e-bike. She didn't even know it was a Class 1 e-bike until we talked about what a throttle was on an e-bike. But she's gotten going over 20 miles per hour down a hill. It's not going to put a brake on for you if you're going too fast. As I mentioned, the RadRover 5 is a Class 2 e-bike. It can go up to 20 miles an hour through the throttle and pedal assist. This is super important to know, and the reason why I stop and talk about it is because most states allow Class 1 and Class 2 e-bikes on the same trails as regular bikes, especially in my hometown of Fort Collins, Colorado. And you can go fast on these bikes. You can go more than 20 miles per hour pretty easily, but just don't be a jerk, okay? This means that Rad Power Bikes are really the best of both worlds. You can ride the RadRover 5 like a little scooter, like a little moped, or you can ride it like a bike that gives you the magical powers of speed to just glide up a hill. It's really pretty fun. But for all intents and purposes, I'd look for a Class 2 e-bike, one that can be used with throttle and with pedal assist, and is limited at 20 miles an hour. That way you can go on the most number of trails. Okay, so what is pedal assist? This is a little bit of a weird concept to talk about if you've never ridden an e-bike before. But the main thing to know about pedal assist is the higher number of pedal assist. The RadRover 5 has 5 levels, 6 if you count level 0, which is no pedal assist. The higher the number of pedal assist on the bike, the more you go with each turn. Think of it as giving you a little extra power with each spin of the bike pedals. Now, I recorded this video. Here's me going, this is actually a little bit uphill. It's hard to tell with the angle, but here's me struggling to make it uphill on pedal assist 0. You can see this is a big bike and it's a little bit difficult. I realize it's a little hard to tell how fast I'm going. So here's pedal assist 5, no pedal assist, and throttle only all together. It's pretty amazing you can go even faster with pedal assist than you can just with throttle. And you can see how much slower it is going the old-fashioned way by just pedaling. Pretty cool. Now that you understand a little bit more about pedal assist, hopefully this description was helpful. Let's get back to the RadRover 5. So here's what you need to know about the RadRover 5. This bad boy is a beast. Now, being a beast is good and bad. Now, because it is a beast, it means you can handle almost anything that you throw at it. Now, look at this bad boy compared to a motorcycle. Now, granted, this is a small motorcycle, but it's almost the same size as a small motorcycle. That's a huge bike. Now compare it to my previous bike, which is this little Schwinn. You can barely see it behind the bike. This bike clocks in at over 70 pounds, but it packs a lot of features in that 70 pounds. I'll dive deep into those as we go here, but this bike is not for the faint of heart. In fact, the Rad Power Bikes website says that this bike is for people 5'4" to 6'2". There's no way my 5'2" wife would even touch this bike. It's huge. When I have my son on, who adds another 40 pounds, this is not an easy task to move it around. So if you are on the borderline of being under 5'4", or you've got really short legs, I'd probably have to look at another bike. Let me also say before I go any further, there's no way I'm going to cover every single question that everyone has about the RadRover 5. So if I've missed something, let me know in the comments below. And if I get enough questions about the same thing, I'll do a video about it. If not, I'll answer your question to the best of my ability, but let's dive in. So let's first talk about the tires. The tires on the RadRover bike make it much larger than most other e-bikes. These are 4-inch tires. And to be honest, I had no idea why fat tires were used, except because they look really cool, until I started looking at the RadRover 5. So why do so many bikes have fat tires these days? Well, the answer is simple. The fat tires make the bike more stable and much easier to ride over some rough terrain, like sand or snow. But the fat tires also make them super stable on concrete too. I could never balance a bike and pedal without my hands on a bike, but I can with this bike, no problem. It's got 4-inch wide Kendra big block tires. They're tubeless. Another thing I had no idea about, tubeless tires, I didn't even know they existed. But from what I've gathered, there's only one thing you need to know about tubeless tires. It makes it a lot easier to keep inflated, and you don't have to worry as much about a flat. The large wheels also provide stability for riders who have troubles balancing themselves, and it provides a lot of traction. It's got a lot of grip on them. And to be honest with you, you might even feel a little bit invincible on the RadRover 5, and I did feel invincible. In fact, the second day I took out my RadRover 5, I took a big spill. I hit some ice I didn't see, and I got a pretty bad bruise. So just be careful.
All systems go.
All right, the range and charging. Now, there are a ton of questions that I get about range. I get it. The RadRover 5 has a higher end of range for an e-bike, and really it's unlimited because you can just pedal if you get stuck somewhere. Rad Power Bike says it has a 45 plus miles per charge on this big battery. It weighs just over 7 pounds. The battery is huge. It can take you a long way, and the actual range is really hard to estimate because it depends on so many different things, like your weight, if you're going against the wind, how much you're pedaling. And I've taken this on a 20 plus mile journey with my little guy riding with me, and I only use about half the battery. The fact with this bike is you can use it 100% throttle mode, makes a big difference, and can wear out the battery a lot faster. But frankly, this hasn't been a problem for me. The RadRover 5 does come with a charger that you can charge the battery with. And when it's 100% empty, which I've gotten it down to once or twice, it takes about 4 hours to charge. When I charge it about 50% full, it takes about 2 hours. You can take the battery off the bike, or you can keep it on, and it plugs into a standard 3-prong outlet with the included charger. Now, this 275 payload is a lot. I only weigh about 170 pounds, with my 4-year-old on me weighs probably about 40. And so we're not anywhere close to the weight limit. The RadRover 5 has no problems with both of us at all. But if you're worried about range, you can always get an extra battery, but have no fear, you can always ride the bike the old-fashioned way by pedaling. Although a 70 plus pound bike is super hard to pedal. I chose the RadRover 5 because it came from a reputable company with tons of great reviews online and tons of communities on Facebook and Reddit that really raved about Rad Power Bikes. Now, you're going to see a lot more e-bike companies come out, and frankly, the traditional bike companies like Trek are coming out with e-bikes, and they're stupid expensive. At about $1,700 for this RadRover 5, it kind of puts you in the middle of prices for e-bikes. Trek has some bikes that are like 5, 12 plus grand, which is just crazy. And you can find some cheaper e-bikes on Costco. I actually bought one to compare it with the RadRover 5, and I'll do a review of that here shortly. But the RadRover 5 has a great balance of features, functionality, and price. On top of that, it comes from a super reputable company that just raised a bunch of money, and so they're going to be around for a long time. And to be honest with you, a lot of the e-bike companies use some of the same components. There's only so many different battery manufacturers, only so many different shifting manufacturers, only so many motor manufacturers, and so you want a e-bike company is going to make a great product, stand behind it, and have great customer service. You can actually call someone and they are in the United States and they speak English, and they are super helpful if you have any questions or concerns. But Rad Power Bikes is a super great brand, which I would not hesitate to recommend. In fact, since I've been riding this bike, as the weather's been getting nicer here in Colorado, everywhere I go, I see at least 1 or 2 Rad Power Bikes on the trails, and you get that quick nod and smile every time you see one. Okay, who is the RadRover 5 for? Now, let's talk about who is the best fit for a RadRover 5. Now, besides fitting between 5'4" and 6'2" in height and not having super short legs, this is probably one of the most versatile e-bikes on the market that actually looks like a regular bike. You can even find some other bikes that Rad Power Bikes puts together, like the Rad Runner Plus, which is a really cool looking bike, but it doesn't look like a regular bike. It looks kind of like a moped kind of girly bike, in my opinion. But that is probably the closest you will get in terms of versatility. It's got that front suspension fork that the RadRover 5 has, and it's got some thicker tires, not quite as thick as the RadRover 5. But if you are even thinking about doing any sort of mountain biking and you want something that's super versatile, check out the RadRover 5. That's what I love about it the most. Not only is it great on the trails, it is great on the regular road, on mountain biking, you name it. It is awesome. And on top of that, it is just so much fun to ride. And me and my son love riding it. He's picked up Pokemon Go like 3 years too late. And so we ride at places and do play Pokemon Go. It's awesome. Now here is who the RadRover 5 is not for. If you need to pick up this bike, if you need to pick it upstairs, move it around a lot, unless you are the Hulk, I would not recommend this. This e-bike is for the person that can easily get to trails or has a great way of transporting it. I don't know how I'd transport this even on a hitch, to be honest with you, but is not moving this up and down stairs, is not having to maneuver this a whole lot of different places. And if you're only going to be riding this in the city, don't buy this bike. There's no need to buy this much bike. You can check out a much cheaper bike like the Rad Power Bikes Mission bike. Or I also wouldn't suggest it for someone that wants to carry a whole lot. There are a ton of accessories available for this bike, so you can customize it quite a bit. And you even see in my video, I have different bags and things I'm testing out to see what I like. But if you really want to haul like several people on it, which I've seen a lot of people on, check out something like the RadRover Wagon or, like I said, the Rad Runner Plus. Those are both great bikes that have a little bit more flexibility. They just don't look like real bikes. They don't look as cool, in my opinion. But if you cannot handle this big of a bike, I wouldn't recommend it. Otherwise, this bike is a lot of fun. It was actually pretty easy to put together. I put together a whole video around 8+ things that I wish I knew before I bought the bike. Number one is it's really easy to put together. Just don't try and pick it out of the box yourself. Use box cutters to open it up or get a friend to help you out. And 2, just have a bike mechanic look at it and tune it up for you afterwards. My bike ran fine. He said I did a good job putting it together, but he just was able to tune it up and made it run even smoother. But overall, I love my RadRover 5. I just got into the world of e-bikes and I'm loving it. This bike fits the perfect mold of functionality, price, customization, and it looks like a real bike. And the RadRover 5 will take anything you throw at it, and it will put a giant smile on your face. You'll have fun. Hopefully, if you have some kids and you get some cool ways to put them on, what you see my son on in these videos is what's called the Your Rider. It's a blast. He loves it. And frankly, if you just want an excuse to get outside more, check out an e-bike. If it's not the RadRover 5, there's tons of other e-bikes out there, but I highly recommend the RadRover 5. Do you have any questions or comments? Please let us know in the comments below. We hope you enjoyed this video. We've loved putting it together. We've had the bike for about 3 or 4 months now. Got in the middle of winter and one of the coldest times we've ever had here in Colorado. And I'm so glad the weather is nice again to enjoy it. But we hope you check it out. If you have any questions, once again, let us know. Did you like this video? Make sure to give it a thumbs up. Make sure you hit subscribe. Like I said, I'm going to do some cool videos with e-bikes. I'm going to compare this to a couple of other brands here shortly, including a cheapo $350 one I got from Costco the other day. That is interesting. I promise you that. But we hope you like it. Give it a thumbs up. Make sure you hit subscribe. And we hope to see you again real soon.